There come moments in history when a nation must pause to ask itself difficult questions. Not because hatred demands it, not because fear demands it, but because truth does. America today finds herself in the middle of conversations many people are afraid to have openly. Questions about identity, questions about faith, questions about immigration, questions about extremism, questions about whether diversity alone is enough to hold a nation together without shared values. And perhaps the biggest question of all, can America preserve freedom without losing herself in the process? Coming to you from the MAB Podcast Network, this is On the Brink with Michael Allen Brown. Welcome to On the Brink. I'm Michael Allen Brown. Recently, I happened upon a piece written by freelance writer Deborah Edwards under the banner, Just Saying. Miss Edwards shared with me an article discussing a reported exchange during a DEI diversity training session involving representatives of different faiths. I would refer you to her article for you to read, judge, and give thought to for yourself. It can be found by searching Facebook Deborah Edwards. The article is entitled The Diversity Delusion, Witnessing a Faith Showdown, the Moment the Mask Dropped. Now, before going any further, let me say this clearly. I'm not presenting every detail of the story as being independently verified fact, nor am I condemning an entire religion or every person who practices it peacefully. But I do believe the larger questions raised by the article deserve thoughtful discussion, particularly in a nation built upon constitutional liberty and freedom of conscience. According to the account, a difficult exchange unfolded between an audience member and an Islamic imam during a question and answer session about faith, belief, and religious duty. Whether one disagrees or agrees entirely with the story or not, the deeper issue remains. Can a free society survive if it becomes unwilling to honestly examine ideologies, religious, political, or cultural, that may conflict with its foundational principles? That is not hatred. That is self-preservation. America has always welcomed people from around the world. That diversity often strengthened this nation. But diversity without a shared commitment to liberty, constitutional order, equal justice, and peaceful coexistence can also create deep fractures. History teaches us this lesson repeatedly. Nations do not usually collapse from outside invasion alone. More often, they lose confidence in who they are. They stop teaching their values. They stop defending their principles. And eventually they become uncertain whether their own civilization is even worth preserving. In her article, Miss Edwards reflects upon her own Native American heritage and connects that history to concerns about cultural displacement and survival. These are her reflections, not mine personally, but they raise an important historical truth. Throughout history, peoples and cultures have often feared losing their identity when overwhelmed by forces larger than themselves. That concern is not unique to one race, one religion, or one nation. It is part of the human story itself. Now let me say something equally important. Most Muslims living in America are peaceful people, trying to raise families, build businesses, practice their faith, and live productive lives, just like millions of other Americans. And they deserve the same constitutional protections as every citizen. But acknowledging that truth does not mean America should ignore extremism wherever it appears. Religious extremism, political extremism, violent extremism, any ideology that teaches hatred, coercion, violence, or the suppression of liberty deserves serious scrutiny in a constitutional republic, not because we hate people, but because freedom requires vigilance. And perhaps that is the real issue confronting America today. Not simply diversity, but whether America still possesses enough moral confidence to defend the principles that made her free in the first place. Freedom of speech, freedom of religion, equal justice under law, the dignity of the individual, the belief that rights come not from government, but from God. These ideas did not emerge from nowhere. They came woven into the foundation of this republic through generations shaped by Judeo-Christian moral understanding, constitutional philosophy, and the belief that liberty must be anchored to responsibility. Today, many Americans feel pressured into silence, afraid that even asking difficult questions may bring accusations, division, or cancellation. But a free people must never lose the ability to speak honestly, civilly, respectfully, but honestly. Because once truth becomes forbidden, freedom rarely survives much longer afterward. The future of America will not be determined only by elections, demographics, or political slogans. It will be determined by whether Americans still believe this republic is worth preserving, whether we still possess the courage to defend liberty while extending liberty to others, whether we can remain both free and united without surrendering the principles that made America exceptional in the first place. Those are not easy questions, but they are necessary ones. And perhaps asking necessary questions is exactly what being American still means. This has been On the Brink with Michael Allen Brown. Until next time, keep watching, keep thinking, and keep standing for truth.